Outside of Parliament in London, there's a statue of a man named Jan Smuts. He was Africa's greatest strategic mind. He's been both an enemy to the British Empire as well as a savior of the British Empire. After the Boers lost the Boer War, General Smuts dominated the negotiations. In a sense, he won the peace, making the British victory irrelevant. His name comes up again and again in history. During the war, Winston Churchill was captured because his armored train was attacked. Smuts was responsible for his interrogation, and during the planning of D-Day, our guy over here was responsible for keeping Churchill distracted so that he wouldn't interfere too much with the Americans and the British own general's plans, while he himself got to provide some inputs into the landing of Normandy. In his free time, he was a botanist, becoming an expert on South African grasses. As a statesman, Smuts made tough decisions. Something there's a lot of value in today because our politicians in this era doesn't really bother with it. The modern world seems to have become too scared of backlash. So valuable was Jan Smuts to the British Empire that even the King of England himself secretly plotted to have Smuts as a backup in case something happens to Winston Churchill. And even Churchill himself had this view, authorizing Smuts to act on his own authority within England, as if Smuts was the British Empire's Prime Minister. Smuts' time in power is a time in history that YouTubers tend to skip over when covering South Africa. He predates apartheid, but comes after the South African War or the Second Boer War ends. I think the reason why the world can skip over this man so easily is because the world's distracted by both the world wars. The benefit we can get today in learning about Smuts is seeing that you can be a politician that's tough on issues, make the right choices, even if it's a tough choice, have an honest administration, and survive for the most of it. Smuts' political party eventually did lose, giving way to the National Party, that's infamous today for implementing the apartheid policies and villainizing South Africa on the world stage. South Africa was pretty much admired on the world stage up until that point. In this sense, the National Party dealt a heavy blow to South Africa's international image. For South Africans of color, there's a different relationship to his legacy, so it's harder to appreciate the man. This is because he had the view to gradually involve people of color into leadership positions and politics of South Africa, rather than making big moves in rapid succession. He definitively understood that it was necessary. His greatest achievement for South Africa is unifying English and Afrikaans South Africans and building a lasting peace between them. I'm almost 3 minutes in and I'm still introducing the man without really telling you any stories. That's just how big of a man Jan Smuts was. His contribution is definitively enormous, perhaps more so than any historic figure we know by name. Smuts was the only person alive to sign both the peace treaties of the First and Second World Wars. His legacy, on the other hand, is a bit controversial. When it comes to his education, he skipped 4 years, ending up in Cambridge on a scholarship that barely covered his living expenses. His professors at Cambridge compared him to Charles Darwin, the man responsible for our modern understanding of evolution, whose intellect matches this. A century later, Cambridge has yet to produce a man or woman whose intellect matches this nearly forgotten Prime Minister of South Africa. Yet, even here in South Africa, among his own Afrikaner people, he's misunderstood and branded as a traitor. This is largely the work of the National Party, who discredited him for their own gain. I could probably spend another 3 minutes introducing this man, but that won't be happening because I'm running out of visuals. Instead, I just want to move on and tell you a story to give a sense of what he was like as a person. Opposite Smuts' statue is another great figure with some history in South Africa. This time around I am a bit more faith that you'd actually know the name, Gandhi. The two had known each other, in fact they shared a pair of shoes. On Gandhi's 70th birthday, he received a package from Smuts. It contained a single worn sandal as well as a written letter from the general. I have worn these sandals for many a summer, even though I may feel that I am not worthy to stand in the shoes of so great a man. It was my fate to be the antagonist of a man for whom even then I had the highest respect. He never forgot the human background of the situation, never lost his temper or succumbed to hate, and preserved his gentle humor even in the most trying situations. His manner and spirit even then, as well as later, contrasted markedly with the ruthless and brutal forcefulness which is the vogue in our day. Smuts often broke terms with Gandhi, hoping to provoke him into doing something foolish. Gandhi in South Africa will get his own video. Ultimately, both Smuts and Gandhi had high praise for each other. In his autobiography, Gandhi praised Smuts with the words, "A high place among politicians of the British Empire and even the world." And those sandals? That was handmade by Gandhi, a gift to Smuts. The originals are on display in India, while a replica pair can be found in a museum in Johannesburg. There's still more to say, but I'm out of visuals, and I don't want to bore people with the same image or the lack of an image. So I'll just say thanks for watching. Remember your past, appreciate each other, and take care of yourself.